Hi there. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm Crystal Wittevrongle, collaborating with Common Sense Edmonton, here today to speak with Diana Steele, who is running for City Council in Ward Nakota Isga in Edmonton's upcoming 2025 elections. Diana, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Wonderful. I'd love to hear more about you and your background and what you're bringing with you to City Hall.
Sure. I have an education degree and a master's degree in leadership. I have over 35 years of community volunteer work in Edmonton. I served as the president of Crestwood Community League for 8 years. And professionally, I worked for Northwest College. I was a business instructor there for almost 10 years. I wrote policy for the government of Alberta. I worked at Pilgrim's Hospice Society for 5 years as their volunteer coordinator. And currently I'm a real estate agent and I do contract work for the Immigration and Refugee Board. So lots of experience across the board.
Yeah. And so when you're in your community and you're chatting with people, what are some of the priorities that you're moving forward to tackling as well?
Well, as you probably know, the wards are huge. So what we are dealing with in Crestwood, Glenora, North Glenora, those wards, and what they're dealing with over in Seacourt and Rosenthal and Weber Greens, that area, are completely different issues. So what I keep telling people is that the biggest sort of most universal issue that I see is the lack of transparency and the ideology that City Hall is moving, or City Council is currently moving forward. People don't feel heard at all. And then, of course, you can get into the weeds of like the infill issues down in the mature neighborhoods, and then 215th Street, that Winterburn Road, and all of the concerns that go along with that, and the congestion that they've got over there. So yeah, I mean, it really just depends on what section you're in the ward, but mostly it's transparency and just that the citizens don't feel heard anymore at all.
That's definitely something that I'm hearing across the board as well, is a lack of transparency, but also a lack of accountability. And that to me kind of goes into, the city has a lot of challenges, but who is best placed to meet those challenges and the role of city council even as a whole? So from your perspective, what is the role of city council and what should they be doing?
The role of city council is to take the issues of the majority of the citizens and move those issues forward and try to resolve them for them. That is it. I'm not coming to council with any of my pet projects. I have lots of things I would love to see the city of Edmonton do, but it's not financially or fiscally responsible, and it's probably not what the majority want anyway. I drive an electric vehicle. I'm big on electric vehicles, but I would never mandate that or demand that everybody drive an electric vehicle. So it's really just to move the projects forward that are imperative to the continuation and the running of your ward.
And so you mentioned fiscally responsible, and so that leads me to property taxes and the never-ending increases that people are seeing year after year. What are your thoughts on the current property tax levels? And if you're in city council, what would be your approach to either raising or lowering property taxes?
Yeah. So I pay property taxes too, and we all know that we are paying way more and receiving less services. Over the past 4 years, we've seen an increase of 25%. We know that the next increase that's coming is around 6.6, and there's nothing that the new council can do with that. That's locked in. But moving forward, I would either like to see services significantly increased to match with the amount of money we are paying in property taxes, or property taxes to freeze, even to decline. I'm a big fan of zero-based budgeting, so I think we have a lot of wasted dollars in the city. I use the example of Edmonton Tower, where we're currently paying $17 million to rent the building for 17 floors, so it's $1 million per floor. And we have City of Edmonton employees who work from home, so they're not even working out of this building right now. So we have the ability, with time and patience and some good strategy and some really talented people, to break apart that budget, take it down to nothing, justify every future expense that's coming our way. And I think we could find some savings there for individuals.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned services, and that's definitely something. And now we're moving into winter, which
Yeah.
everybody is always complaining about snow removal, and rightfully so. There's some communities that really struggle with even having their roads cleared at all. What are your thoughts on the current service levels?
I think the biggest thought I have is how are we still dealing with this? Like winter comes as a shock every year to us, apparently. So
Yeah.
I struggle with that. I think it's a combination of a bunch of issues. I think the planning is not great. I have heard that some of the contractors that we have that work for the city of Edmonton just roll their snowplow into an area and don't actually do the job that they've been contracted to do. So there's a number of issues, but the most important thing is someone needs to go in there and fix this for once and for all. And if you're not doing your job, you need to be fired. And if you are a resident in the city of Edmonton, you should have better access to reporting on an app to say, like, here's where I live and this has not been done yet. So utilizing AI a bit more to help us with that side of things, because you should be able to not just call 311 where people are being blackballed from 311 now because you've called too many times, or the phone lines are busy, like an app where people can just let you know what's going on. And the counselors need to be more involved, because it impacts driving in the city. It slows everything down. The buses are late, taxis and those forms of transportation are late. So it's just, there's no excuse. This is not a shock to us. We know we're going to get blizzards in Edmonton. So let's figure it out.
And so, with respect to services kind of in general, snow removal being one of them, are you in favor of increasing spending on those services, or more of a repurposing of funds that are currently being spent?
No, I'm in favor of of upping that budget, because I don't think what we're doing right now is working. No one's happy. We're always the last city as well to remove snow. And I don't know about you, but I see my friends who live in Beaumont and Sherwood Park and St. Albert, and they're always bragging about, my streets have been cleaned already. It's like, the snow just fell 20 minutes ago. How's that even happening? But yeah, so we need to throw more money at it. But again, we are here to do municipal governance. We're not here for pet projects. Our main priorities are snow removal. That's one of them. So that's where a lot of our money should be going. We have 11% of our operating budget right now is going to service our debt. So we are not responsible with our money at all. I think if we had a better council who understood the situation a bit more, we would have the money to spend on snow removal and make those better decisions for Edmontonians.
And so that spending, then, do you see it sort of like increasing with inflation or with population growth, or just, you're moving because you're cutting elsewhere and you're moving that money over, or?
Yeah, truthfully, I don't know how to answer that, because I'm not in the job. So I don't know what's missing, what the fix is, and then what that increase would look like. I just know that I would be the counselor who's there to say, we got to get this right, and we've got to figure it out, whatever the cost. And because we are being responsible with our money, I don't think that's an irresponsible spend, but because we're being responsible in other ways as well, we will have the money to cover that difference.
And you mentioned earlier as well that some of the communities in your ward, some of the big priorities, one is the infill development issue. And I've heard this time and time again, that mature neighborhoods are really struggling with this policy. And residents, sort of as a blanket statement, are struggling with the fact that they weren't consulted or engaged on it. What are your thoughts on this policy as it stands?
Yeah, so I'm 100% against the mid-neighborhood multi-family units. So where you take, a bungalow and then you build what's happening in Crestwood and Glenora and these older areas where the lots are quite big, you're lot splitting it. So now you've got 2 8 units, so 16 units going next to this tiny little bungalow, sometimes surrounding them on either side. No one wanted that. No one. I mean, well, I can say the builders wanted that, and city council, who's trying to drive, ridership on the LRT, wanted that. But the homeowner who just purchased a home and has now watched the value of their investment sink like a stone, they did not want that. So that has to stop immediately. And we've already done so much damage. I feel like we actually owe the families who are being impacted by this, we certainly owe them a giant apology, but I don't know what else we owe them either. But I'm definitely against that. Now, in terms of infill, I live in infill, so I'm a fan of responsible infill. The home that I live in is a triplex. It was once a single family bungalow that was a little bit run down. It wasn't able to be used as a home anymore. So someone came and purchased the land and built a triplex. It's on a corner lot. It's on a main road. So it makes a lot of sense. But there's 3 families that moved in. We all have parking. We all have our own ability to put our bins out on the back alley, and they all line up nicely. There's only 3 of us, so it's nice and easy and clean. And it's not chaotic like these 16 units with 32 bins are. So I'm a fan of responsible infill, but irresponsible infill, no way. Day one, I would be asking questions on, like, how do we get this stopped right now, this mid-neighborhood stuff. So, yeah.
And how do you think that council needs to rebuild trust with the Edmontonians who feel like their voices haven't been heard in this policy?
Well, being transparent from day one. Most of the people who follow me know that I am extremely transparent, and I already share things I probably shouldn't be sharing. I will tell you everything. I've already made it clear I'm going into council to pull back that curtain. I will wear a body cam if that's what it takes. I will show what is happening in council all the time, because administration right now has the reins of council. They're really in control. And council is kind of, some things are not even being told. I just found out about a report that was hidden. There's a bunch of stuff that's going on behind the scenes, and I'm there to disrupt the status quo for sure. And I think that's the only way you can get trust back from citizens who rightfully are questioning everything right now. So we need counselors who are going in to say, all right, time to just tell you everything that's happening here. And what you need to know is that we're going to get to the bottom of all of this and fix this and get our city back to being as great as we know it can be.
And so with the densification or the need for densification, how do you see that balancing with the need for, maintaining character in the mature neighborhoods? I know you said you're not in favor of the Mondo 16 units mid-block, but the balance there, like, how do you see that work?
Well, I think corner lots are good, close to shopping. And I know we're in Crested and Glenora. We're right on an LRT line. But these are some of the most expensive neighborhoods in the city of Edmonton. And not that that makes anybody any better than anybody else, but you do need to take into account that some of these homes are over $2 million. And you can't just do what you want next to a $2 million house. You do have to have some consultation regarding character and the type of neighborhood you're going into. So just a careful balance. And there are experts out there who are very good at this. So talking to them, having them engage with the public as well would be very helpful.
And there's been a lot of discussion about how densification around transit makes sense, especially if a lot of the folks that will be moving into these newer units use transit. But we've also seen transit ridership fall. People don't want to take transit. They don't feel safe taking transit. What are your thoughts on what council is currently doing with regards to transit safety?
So all of the studies in regards to building the LRT came back unfavorable. They said you can't make it work. They're going to fail every time. Those reports, of course, are kept quiet from the citizens, but it's an out there secret that most people know about. So I think that's why we ended up with the bylaw that we ended up with, because they sort of were connecting some dots and said, well, how do we force ridership? Let's go into the mature neighborhoods surrounding right on the lines of the LRT, and let's build these massive units where we can get lots of renters in there who won't drive vehicles. And then we'll force ridership, and then our numbers will go up, and then we'll look like heroes. The issue, of course, is, as you said, the majority of people don't take transit because it's not safe, because they have their car, because sometimes it takes longer to take a bus or a train to get where they're needing to go than it is to just actually take your car. Sometimes it's not cost effective either. It costs more to take the train than it does to pay for or to drive your own vehicle. So It's an extremely frustrating situation. I think it was forced on us, and I think the citizens of Edmonton have seen right through it.
Hmm. And how do you think the city should increase the safety on transit, whether that's perceived safety or actual safety?
Yeah, we need more police on transit. We need better protection. We know that these incidents are rising. It's why I do not let my children take public transit. And I don't want to be hypocritical, because there are other mothers out there who don't have the option. Their kids or themselves have to take public transit. So I'm not going to say, well, my kids are fine, so we don't need to worry about it. No, I'm going in to make sure it is safe, so that every mother who is putting their son or daughter on a bus every day to go to school are able to say, I know that they're going to come home safely to me, because council has made sure that our LRT system and our bus systems are protected.
And so do you see that being like officers, uniformed officers, or something like a fare gate or closed gate system or
Combination
other
of everything,
alternatives? Yeah.
whatever we can. Again, this is going to come down to experts coming in and saying, here's what you need to do. And then,
Mhm.
because we are a responsible municipal government and we want to protect our citizens, we make that happen.
And there's been a lot of controversy about the relationship between the Edmonton Police,
Mhm.
the Police Commission, and City Council in recent years.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that relationship, and how do we build that back up for citizens' safety?
Yeah, it is unfortunate that the relationship has been fractured for so long. I think with a new council, I have hope, so much hope, that the city of Edmonton is going to go in and flip this council over and elect a brand new team, so that we can go in and not only repair our relationship with the Edmonton Police, but repair our relationship with the government of Alberta as well. None of these and also surrounding municipalities, which we've managed to disrupt all those relationships as well. So we have no friends right now except for the federal government. That's the only one standing beside us. And coincidentally, they both have the same ideology. So you can read into that as you'd like. But yeah, we've just managed to destroy all the relationships. So we need a new council to go in there and repair all of those relationships. And I'm 100% open to doing that.
And so with the province specifically, like, if I'm thinking of transit safety, I'm thinking of the folks that maybe need mental health or addiction support or other health services that are causing disruptions or perceived safety issues.
Yeah.
And really managing the services that those folks need is the province. And so the province and the city need to work together. How do you see that playing out given the current struggle in the relationship?
I again have faith that with a new council, that relationship or that struggle won't exist anymore. I
Mhm.
think that we've got two groups who are both digging in their heels. Whenever anyone asks me about this, I always liken it to, well, if you were a parent and you had a child who was acting irresponsibly, maybe they had a terrible drug habit, and they kept asking you for money. At some point, you're just going to say no, and you're going to stop funding them. So I think the city, every time the province gives them money, they spend it irresponsibly. And so I think the province has said, well, we're done with you. Like, you guys have shown you can't make responsible decisions. Now, do I agree with that? No. You're still punishing citizens of Edmonton who don't deserve to be punished, like individuals who are struggling, or taxpayer citizens who are having their garages and cars broken into because these individuals are not being helped. So it's not helpful to anybody. I think that they're both digging in their heels. So I'm hopeful that with a new council, we can convince the province to come back and sit at the table with us again.
And then back to the police, how do you see the current funding model for police, and the need to either increase that or potentially, just have a bit more transparency around how they're funded? There's been
Yeah.
lots of concern with that.
Yeah, I know that they are pretty secretive about where they spend their money, and I can understand that to a point. But I would be looking to give them more money because I'm asking them for more. So I understand that they would require more funding, but that comes with an understanding that I do expect that some of this stuff is going to be made transparent, because you can't just keep asking Edmontonians to understand that. I mean, policing is one of the, if it's not the most expensive, it's certainly one of the top two most expensive. For our operating budget, we have to be able to tell Edmontonians where that money is going. Otherwise, they're going to stop being interested in funding that anymore. I wouldn't want to just hand someone money without an idea of where that money was going. Having said that, I think also part of the transparency in that will show the turnaround in the city of Edmonton with less crime, less frustration downtown, and ultimately that will be the ROI as well. So.
Mm-hmm. And how do you see the balance between, the EPS needs operational autonomy, but the city council needs to have some level of oversight as well. How do you see that balance and needing to potentially tweak it in any way?
Are we frozen for a minute here?
I got you frozen, but I can hear you.
Okay, good. All right. I think that job comes down to the mayor. I think the mayor needs to be, I ran for mayor in 2021, and I made this joke at a forum. I said it would be like the Batman cartoons, where it's Batman and the mayor and the commissioner, and they're all friends, right? They all hang, every time there's a crime, they're all there together. So the mayor, it would be the mayor's responsibility to really foster that relationship and make sure that we are in the loop on everything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. And this is also a very interesting time for Edmonton, well, for Alberta, because it's the first time that we're seeing municipal parties in this election. Are
Yeah.
you part of any of these parties? And if so, how does that influence the way that you will present yourself in council?
Yeah, so I'm part of PACE. They contacted me a couple of times when I first announced, and I originally said no. I was independent. I was staunchly independent. I was not a fan of parties in in municipal government. Having said that, I know we do have party politics in there right now. They're just a shadow party politics. But PACE, I ended up meeting with them when I started to sort of notice that there were a few more people entering the race. Big money was getting involved. And I knew that my ability to showcase myself was going to be harder. And so I thought PACE can give me some exposure, but I didn't want to sell my soul to the devil, essentially. I wanted to meet with them and say, okay, what does this look like? You're a party. What is your political stance? They're apolitical. They're nonpartisan. I don't know how any of my other candidates feel about any federal or provincial issues at all. We don't talk about that. And I also asked if, they ever went against something that I didn't believe in, would they be okay with me, removing myself from that or standing up on the other side? They said, absolutely no problem. And the only way they will ever get involved with me is if I don't do what I told the people I would do. So they will hold me accountable to make sure I am putting myself in a position to be successful with what I said I would do. That's the only way they would ever get involved. But they don't have an agenda they're looking to push through or anything like that. It's just simply me making sure I do what I say I was going to do.
Mm-hmm. And for voters, also understanding a candidate's kind of broader political affiliations sometimes helps them understand the values that candidate holds.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to share any of your affiliations at the provincial or the federal level?
I am, I consider myself centric. I used to be I don't want to say very left leaning, because in today's context, that sounds bad. I'm not ever that. I was more left leaning, and I had Grok analyze all my tweets, and it came back. I asked where my political affiliations lie currently, and it came back and said I'm just center right now. So yeah, so and I'm okay with that, because I am more fiscally conservative than than I would probably like to be. I'm really cheap, so it does make sense. But I lean more left in regards to social issues. So yeah, I think it's a good mix. I think it's a good mix.
That's interesting that Grok can do that. I might have it analyze mine and tell me where I sit.
Yeah. I love AI. I'm a big fan of it. So
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely shaking things up.
yeah.
And as we're closing out this interview, Diana, is there one thing you'd like to leave behind with our viewers, whether or not they're in your ward?
You know what? I would like to tell them or ask them to be very careful in this election. You often hear these things on television shows. This is going to be the most explosive episode you've ever seen in your life. And I hate to throw out that trite phrase, but this is a critical election. And
Yeah.
we unfortunately, so in I believe it was 2004, our deficit was 28 or 23 million. I'm not remembering the exact numbers correctly. We are $5 billion in debt. It's been 21 years. So we accumulated about $232 million in debt every year since then. We are not going to be able to sustain this for very much longer. And the warning I will give you is we could potentially be in trouble by 2028 because there's certain thresholds we cannot go over. And that means whoever you elect right now, if they don't turn this around, we are at risk of the province taking over our municipal government. And so I need everyone to be very careful with who they are choosing to lead our city forward. And I think that if common sense were to prevail, anyone involved with current council needs to go. You need to invite people who have not been politically involved and who have real life experience, who are taking their kids in their cars to soccer practice and picking up family loads of groceries, not riding their bike because it's just you or just you and your wife, and you don't have any extracurricular activities to get to. It is a different kind of mindset when you have that lifestyle. If you are a single person running for government, it's a wonderful way to live your life. But if you are a family, it's a completely different way. And we need individuals on council who know that.
Absolutely. And I echo your sentiments. To our viewers, it's so vital that you stay engaged, that you be informed, and that you get out and vote. This is a critical election, and we need a higher voter turnout overall. 2021 was dismal. So please get engaged and get out there and vote. And Diana, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. This has been very exciting to hear your perspectives, and I really do appreciate your time.
Of course, and I'm sorry my camera is frozen there at the end, but thank you so much for having me today. It was great chatting with you.
Yes, thank you. Take care.
You bet.